This is the TSG Multimedia Podcast, bringing you the best train, model railroad, and historic preservation news, updates, and information since 2010.
We're sponsored this month by the TSG Train Crew on Patreon and by ModelRailroadControlSystems.com, Electronics for Operations, and by Podomatic, a podcast hosting and distributing platform. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the TSG Multimedia Podcast. I'm John, and this show is all about model railroading, real trains, and preserving history. This is the last podcast of the year, and since it's now officially the holiday season, I want to wish you all the best holidays ever. And I also want to take a moment to thank everyone who watches, listens, supports, and shares the content that we work so hard to produce here at TSG Multimedia. Your support makes it very rewarding to do what we do here, and we are grateful to all of you. In particular, the people supporting us on Patreon that I've come to appreciate because they really understand what we do here. I get their comments through our behind the scenes community channel, and when I say they really get it, I mean that. You can join us behind the scenes and get your name added to the list. By doing this, you become part of our TSG train crew with everything that comes with it. Just ask anyone who's on the crew. Thank you all very much. This is the first update for, I guess, the month of November, even though it's really October 31st, but the most recent podcast was finished editing because I had a trip to come up to the Reno area. This is my friend Mike Cohen and world-renowned TSG train crew member Ethan Doty, who's been on the channel before. Mike's been on the channel before. And Mike told me recently, like within the past 6 months or so, about an event they do up here in the Reno area where a bunch of layouts are open. And one of the layouts that I know for sure I've wanted to do a layout tour on anyway. So we arranged to come visit for a couple of days. And Mike, why don't you talk about what that event is? And before you do though, I want to mention something else. What he's about to describe to you is something that we're going to make a video about that's more of a long form, like a feature video. Now, please go.
Okay. So what we're doing is every year here in the Reno, Sparks, Carson City area, we do an open house weekend. And so layouts in the various areas are open for visitation, and including this year mine. Those of you that are longtime viewers may remember my old layout that was back in the Bay Area. There's two videos. Yeah. I have since, relocated about 5 years ago to the Reno area, and I'm now building my version 2.0 of the Western Pacific Oregon Division, and that'll be featured on the full video that John's going to do. And we're going to go visit a bunch of layouts today, tomorrow, and Sunday in Sparks, Reno, and Carson City. So check it out when the video comes out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now Ethan has to say something because you're on camera. Yeah. What are you doing here?
I'm the Chief Mechanical Officer for the Oregon Division, and I'm also the Chief bonk Mike over the head with a rubber mallet when he does something wrong.
Oh, it's on the shelf over there.
Is it?
It's handy because Mike does a lot of stuff wrong.
Well, I appointed Ethan Chief Mechanical Officer after he grabbed a whole bunch of sound decoders that I had in my workshop and came back a week later with a bunch of nice sound installs. And so now he keeps installing sound on locomotives and helping me on the layout and everything. I really could not have made the progress that I've made, especially in the past 6 months or so, without his help. So thanks, dude.
Yeah, man. On behalf of Mike, I also thank you. So anyway, that's the story for this update, and there'll be more. I mean, as we go to these places, I'll probably do little podcast updates. I should have done one last night. We went to Jim's last night just as a little preview. We're going to go again tomorrow, and I'll show you what that is. But there are some really nice layouts up here, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. So, more to come.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Mike, since I got you on here, I'm going to ask you,
Yeah.
how much bigger is this layout compared to the one in Piedmont that we've done those 2 layout tours for?
Really not that much bigger. This room
Sure feels bigger.
It feels bigger. This is a 60 by 20 foot room with sort of a diamond shape. The other room was an L-shaped room. It was 34 feet on the long leg and about 25 feet on the short leg. So when you do the square footage, they were very similar in size. I'd say probably within about 50 or 80 square feet of each other.
Oh, because it feels way bigger than the other one.
I do like that about it.
Yeah, I mean, the aisles are wide, and yeah, this is just,
Well,
it's a fairly large space.
this is kind of a plug for designer Byron Henderson, who actually designed this layout after a TSG podcast at the Santa Clara Depot. Byron Henderson and I got talking, and he really liked the concept. And I told him I was moving to Reno, and he said, "Well, I'd be happy to design your layout." And the result, in fact, this is part of the design. I've modified it since, but Byron was responsible for essentially the design, and it came out good. I'm really pleased with it.
We're at our first layout here for the weekend, and this is a guy named Holly McLean who has a really large garden scale layout that runs, it looks like, all over the property. I'm not sure I've seen one this big before. There may be one that I saw near Santa Barbara that was this big, but it wasn't running when I saw it. But this is really interesting because he's modeling European stuff. So it's like Swiss trains and Swiss stations, and it's a really nicely done layout. And I'm going to show you some videos that it's just really cool. There's stuff here. There's like a tramway that runs, those things that take you up to the tops of mountains in Switzerland. He has those modeled here. He has nickel-plated brass track that doesn't need to be cleaned much. And the entire layout is track power. And I've never seen a layout this big with track power. So it's pretty amazing. I'll show you and you'll see what I mean. Pretty cool. We're back at Mike's now because Mike is actually open today. So I'm going to take him outside and beat his ass. I mean, no, I'm not going to beat his. I'm not going to beat him up.
Don't forget the rubber mallet.
Yeah, that's right. No, we use that on you. Yeah. We're gonna go outside, and I'm gonna have Mike do an intro for his own layout, and then we're gonna come in here and he's gonna tell people about what his layout is. Meanwhile, what are you doing here? Because you're helping today, right?
Yeah, I'm helping run trains, cause chaos, either way. Finding problems that we didn't realize were there because we haven't tested it out too well until today, and we're running trains back and across the new bridge, and it's giving us some complications, but
that's how you find problems, though.
Yeah, that's how you find the problems, and the track gang's already applied a fix, and we'll see how long it holds.
Yeah, but the thing is, so you can see behind me, I mean, the layout's really under construction, so I wouldn't imagine that anybody here would seriously expect it to perform like a, bulletproof.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's down the road, but we're getting there.
Yeah, but what's your impression so far? Visitors are they enjoying the story here, or what do they seem like they're?
I think some are. Just got done talking with some people about some of the electrical stuff I've done to the layout to help protect the trains.
What kind of stuff is it?
Well, so I read up about these things called our resistor capacitor filters. And with AC track signals, the longer your bus run is, the higher the peaks can get, or essentially the waveform goes out of proper waveform. And so these resistor capacitors help keep the spikes out of the waveform, so you're not getting voltage spikes that can blow up your decoders or other noise in the track that can affect the signals that the decoders are receiving, so they don't react funny and in ways you don't want them to.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that before. Is that something that a lot of people are doing nowadays?
It's something that's come into my awareness more recently. But as far as whether everybody's doing it, I think a lot more people are doing it now. I think it took some time to realize that was what was going on. Because, sometimes it's like, okay, you ran through the switch the wrong way. Did the decoder blow up because you ran the switch, or did because you got a voltage spike?
Yeah.
Hard to say. So.
Well, and that's kind of your role here at Mike's Layout, is really being the superintendent guy. So.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Finding the problems, fixing them.
Yeah. As long as the problem isn't Mike.
Yeah.
It's an easy problem to find.
Yeah.
That's the one that's obvious. Anyway, we'll be back later with more podcast update. This is a bit later, and we've come to a layout owned by a guy named Jim Price. And I'm standing in the room that has the Oakland Mole. And I've seen this modeled on a modular layout when I was in the National Train Show in Salt Lake City. And this is really cool. And rumor has it that this is a massive layout in a massive room. And we've just seen the very first part of it. And I'm already kind of drooling. This is something else. Wow. Maybe we'll have another update in a minute. So this is the main room I was talking about. I don't know if you can tell, but it goes back, 50 or 60 feet, maybe 70 feet. And there's also an upper deck. Of course, you can see it's all under construction, but this is pretty impressive. And the route is supposed to be from the Bay Area all the way to Sparks. So it's a lot like what the Carquinez Model Railroad Society, or CMRS, in Crockett models. But this is a private layout. And you know what? I think the space it occupies is equal or maybe even bigger than CMRS. This is pretty cool. It's pretty impressive. This layout has the Roseville icing facility. It's about 15 feet long on two sides. I've never seen that modeled before to this level. That's crazy. This is really cool. That is 16th Street Station, which is still standing in Oakland. I've never seen that modeled before that I can remember. I saw this from about 20 feet away, and I thought to myself, that looks like Colfax. So I came closer, and look what I found. Look what I also found. A McKean car with a baggage car. That's something you don't see every day. Hi, this is the next day, and we're going to go looking at model railroads again here in the greater Reno area. But Ethan, we were just eating breakfast, and Ethan was telling me about some project models that he did, and I thought they were kind of cool. So it's kind of like, one of those things you don't see every day. So we're going to look at these. What are they, SD9s?
One's an SD9 and the other's an SD7. These started out as base model Proto 2000 units, which were nicely detailed units, but the factory only put the stock details on them. So the headlight was up on the stock location and everything, which was not correct for the SP. The SD7s, a lot of them came with the barrel light up top and had steam generators.
So the one on the right then is the SD7.
Yes, the 5327 is the SD7, and they bought a handful of them for passenger service, which they did for a while and eventually put them aside to other use on the NWP and elsewhere. And the 5426 on the left is an SD9, and it was one of the batch that was bought with snowplows and the 5-light Christmas tree on the front, as some of us call it. And so I had to add that, and I put LEDs in, and the number boards are all separate. So the main headlight, the signal lights, and the number boards are all running separately. and I can turn them on and off individually from the headlights, depending on whether it's the lead unit or it's the trailing unit in the consist. SP in some ways was big on safety in the early years. They put signal lights on their steam engines because of the valley and coastal fog. The GS4s got them because they were having trouble with grade crossing incidences, and so they put the signal lights on. And when the diesels came along, a lot of the signal light manufacturers said, hey, we got this handy feature where if you go in emergency, we got this red signal light that'll come on instead. And on the SP and double track, if you came across a train signaling with the red light, you had to pass it at restricted speed in case they dumped the train on the ground and there were cars piled up on your track. I started them 10 years ago, and I finally finished them this past January. So I wanted to share them to remind people, don't give up on your projects. The 5327 is technically on the second attempt of putting the barrel lights on it. The first time they didn't turn out very well, and then I found the surface mount diode LEDs and I made a second attempt, and here they are as they look today, fully equipped with sound and lights and the whole 9 yards. So it may take a long time sometimes, but never forget to keep working on them and to try and try again until you get the results you want.
So, as you could tell, this is the next day. That was a pretty cool little demonstration of Ethan's locomotives. I like the custom work that he did on them. And I like his message about keep trying, because sometimes you have to build the skills before you can do what you're trying to do, and he's clearly done that. But anyway, we're on our layout tours again, and the first one we're going to look at here is an HO scale one. So I'll let you know, have some updates here about what it is when we get in. Another Keddy Y representation to consider.
That's a PFM model from 60.
I like Keddy Y models.
Tom Callan sold me a motor that he sold me a motor, and it was absolutely tiny.
Yeah.
You know, obviously meant for something like that, but it would be a lot of work.
Here's something you don't see every day. This is a transloading facility where the narrow gauge dumps the rocks or whatever the load is into the standard gauge. That's pretty cool. Here's something else you don't see every day. This layout has date nails on the switch throws. Here's something you don't see every day. This is a basically garden scale indoor layout. It actually has 3 layouts in here. And the one we're looking at right now is a narrow gauge that runs on O-scale standard gauge track. I don't know what the math works out to on that. It's probably close to a 2-foot gauge. But this is a really detailed layout. Over on this side of the room, what we're looking at is regular garden scale. I think it's 1:29. And then over here, there's an ON30 layout. So again, something you don't see every day. 3 layouts in one room. And I'm really impressed with the level of detail. The guy who owns this is named Bob. And he's really super detailed stuff. I think that last layout we looked at was really cool. I wasn't sure really when we walked in, but the more I looked, the more into it I got. And I learned something about this guy that built that layout we were just looking at, was that he's a builder, and that layout that's there actually replaced a layout that was an ON30 layout that was in a magazine. So he took something that was already a masterpiece and took it out to build something else that looks like it's turning into a masterpiece very quickly. Wow. What did you think about that, Mike? That was pretty cool, huh?
You know, and it's not the first time I've seen that, but it is just artistic. And to this time, when I looked at it, I really looked into the scenes and all the details and all the figures, you know, guys in a hobo camp, guys playing checkers, above a bar, you know, a man standing on the street corner reading a newspaper, all these little scenes you can kind of imagine. And I mean, I've been in Western towns like the one he modeled. You know, you go to the Sierra foothills, to the gold country, and a lot of it looks like that, and towns here in Nevada. So the depictions, just were so, enchanting is the only word I can come up with.
That's a good word for it, I think.
It was really pretty cool.
It kind of having all those little scenes with the people doing stuff kind of brings it to life in a way, even though they're static.
Yeah.
You know, you can still imagine what's being said or, whatever.
Exactly.
So,
there's stories. There's lots of, imagine the stories there. Yeah.
So that one, I really like prototype railroads and stuff that's super detailed, like prototypically, but something about this really appeals to me too, because it's very plausible.
The whimsy.
Yeah, but it's still plausible though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is plausible. I mean, you can imagine, there were a lot of little railroads in this area during the silver boom, during the lumber boom. And, they may have only been, 3 miles long. And you can imagine that was one of them, that those different layouts were, depict something like that around here.
Yeah. And the use of the narrow gauge, but on a large scale, makes scratch building and building custom rolling stock and locomotives more accessible too. So I really like that one.
I'm so glad.
Thanks for taking us there, man.
Oh, my pleasure. On to the next one.
This is a little bit later. We've eaten our lunch, and we're at the next layout that we're looking at. This is in a 5-car garage. And the cool thing about this layout is it's actually 2 layouts that these guys who own the place bought or rescued or however they came to get them. And they've taken 2 different layouts. One's narrow gauge, one's standard gauge. They're both HO scale. And they've managed to sort of fuse them together. And it's kind of remarkable because the areas where they had to build stuff to connect it, it looks like the same person built it. So they did a really good job sort of melding them together. And so this is interesting. And it also has some dual gauge track, which is kind of unusual. Don't see that every day. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. It's all Colorado stuff. Right. They have the tanks in the back, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said, I can't justify that. Yeah. So I said, what the hell? Those coaches were good.
Yeah. We actually just acquired those.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Who made them? There's a Blackstone.
I'm doing an update for the podcast here because I found something you don't see every day. This person's backyard, who owns the layout we're looking at right now, has been turned into an old Western town. You have a saloon and a bank or whatever back there. That's pretty cool.
So it's a 2-cycle because it just goes Grand Junction downtown.
This is our last layout for the day. This is Jim Petro's Denver Rio Grande Western. This is an HO scale layout that's pretty much fully scenic, or 90% probably. Really nicely done. It has great backdrops. We had a chance to see this a couple days ago when we first got here, but we came back for the open house just to see it again. It's really nice. Nicely done layout. So far, at least in my opinion, it seems like the most fun one when it comes to operations, because he does full op sessions, and I've heard really good things about them. Hope to get back here sometime and operate here, because it does seem like it would be a good session. This is the next day, and this is the last day of looking at layouts. And so, do you have an idea, Mike, of what layouts we're going to see?
Well, today we're going to go down to the Carson City, Minden area. I think we're going to see like 4 layouts.
Oh.
One of them that I have seen in the past is a 3-rail layout, but it's more scale than most or many 3-rail layouts. And we'll probably stop by the Nevada State Railroad Museum as well. So I think it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, we've been there before. We saw you there once. So
We did.
Anyway, so we're going to go out and do that. There will be some more updates. And yeah, looking forward to this last day of layouts.
Came out of the Virginia trucking stuff in their toy group in the rail camp, and I couldn't resist that. Got all of the stuff.
We're in the first layout that we're looking at today, and this is really cool. It's an O gauge, so 3-rail, basically a Lionel layout, but it's done more realistically than what you'd expect for, what we call toy trains. And it reminds me a lot of a layout we've done a video on that was from a guy named Tom Davis, where he had weathered buildings and scratch-built stuff here and there. And that's what the person that owns this layout, his name is Mike Rowe. No, not that Mike Rowe. But, stuff here is weathered, and there's a 23-foot scratch-built trestle that's behind me here. That's pretty amazing. So this is really cool. You can see a lot of it's not finished, but I can see where it's going. And this is one that probably would be a fun layout tour video to do someday. This is you never know who you'll run into. Ethan taking a picture of me, taking a picture of him, taking a picture of me, taking a picture of him, taking a picture of me.
The never-ending cycle.
It is. I can do this all day. The people who watch the channel know that. That's why they don't watch anymore.
Yeah, we're just a complete bunch of goofballs who don't know anything. Why would we watch this stuff?
Yeah, we know you don't know anything.
Oh, yeah.
They know I don't know it. I know everything. I just can't remember any of it. This is the next layout on our tour today. And look, that's the whole layout. And it reminds me of a Virginia and Truckee layout that we did a layout tour video of Mike Lane. It's in a room very similar size. This room might be just a little bit bigger than Mike's. And what's cool about layouts this size is you can still fit in a really cool and detailed layout. In this case, this is an SN3 layout. So S scale 1:64 narrow gauge, 3-foot narrow gauge. And it looks really good. It's actually partly made from, I guess, modules that someone else that owned Evergreen Styrene actually made these. And the person who owns them now is incorporating them into his layout. So it's a neat way to see how someone can sort of live on by someone else taking their layout or taking parts of their layout. It's pretty cool. And look who we ran into here. I have to hold the phone really high up. Oh, that's better. Now this is where I normally hold the phone, but this guy is about 8 feet tall. Hi, Ethan.
Hi.
Are you back again?
Yep, back again.
We can't get rid of you.
No.
Just following us everywhere.
You never will.
You never know who you'll run into.
Nope, you never know.
one thing I love about this hobby is that, there's so much generosity and people share so much. And one of the things that was shared with me was I went on a layout tour, and the gentleman had this beautiful wooden bascule bridge and on his layout, and it was open to access his workshop. And I looked at it and I went, wow, that's beautiful. I could use one of those for my layout. And he said, hold on. And he turns around and starts walking quickly. And I thought, I better follow this guy. And I followed him down the aisle, and he reaches under the layout and he pulls out an identical bridge and just hands it to me and says, here, take this. It's gorgeous, and it's on my layout. And I was going to use it as an access point in my layout, but it's so beautiful that I said, no, I got to put it somewhere where it's protected, but is still on display. So it's on my layout, and it's gorgeous. And that kind of thing happens all the time in this hobby. And that's one of the reasons I love it so much.
Our next stop is at the Carson City Model Railroad Club. I think that's what this is called. It's kind of cool. It's in a park, and they have what looks to be a 2-foot gauge railroad that runs around the park. So this seems like it would be a great place to take kids here in Carson City, especially if you have kids that like trains. Anyway, I'm going to go inside and check things out, and we may have another update inside. We'll see. So this is the inside of the club. This is their layout. Looks like a big U shape, loop to loop. Doesn't look like it's really built for ops necessarily, but it's a club, so this is what's fun. And if we look down here, where our top secret producer is, there's also an N-scale layout in here. That's pretty cool. So, just like a lot of places that do events like this would be a wonderful place for you to pick up some cheap rolling stock to practice your weathering on. That's how we do it. Does two things at the same time. It gets you a good deal on something, helps them out, and you can use that stuff to practice your weathering. It's even cheaper on these. $2 for a piece of rolling stock to practice your weathering on. It doesn't get any better than that.
It's going to be coming in anyway.
That's right. There's something in that locomotive. It might be a bad gear.
Yeah, that sounds like
It's so flat spotted. Great car.
So that was a pretty cool layout that we were just at. It's an N-scale layout. It's the only N-scale layout that I've seen this weekend. Not the only N-scale layout that was open, but we didn't get to the other one. Anyway, that's it for now on this podcast update. We'll be back later probably with one more. So this is the last day here in the Reno area. We've finished our layout tour event yesterday. Had a great time. It's nice to see the progress on Mike's layout. And Mike is sitting here right next to me, and we're going to get an idea of what he thinks about what he just did here this weekend. It seemed like you had some fun.
Oh, I had a ball.
Yeah, what did you think about hosting the show?
Well, it came as a little bit of a surprise because I forgot you had asked me to be the host, but it was fun. I got stretched in that, we went and looked at layouts that I would not have considered looking at otherwise. I've got a little bit of operation and HO scale bias, and we looked at layouts of all different scales and some really cool ones. And John, I appreciate you pointing out some of the neat aspects that I would have otherwise overlooked. So yeah, it was great. I really had a good time.
I did too. And, we talked about the whole looking at aspects that you wouldn't have considered before. And I think where I came from too, you've done the same thing for me at some point with your proto freelance layout. WP never had 6-axle locomotives and all that, but yours do because it's fun. So we've probably done that in some way, both directions. Now that happened for me many years ago when we first did your first layout. But anyway, so that's it from the Reno area. We're going to get on the long drive home here soon, and we'll catch you all on the next update. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you, John. That was fun.
I have a deep voice in the morning sometimes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Hi, we're at Niles Canyon this morning. This is November 15th. I only know that because it's my birthday today, and I'm working. We're here to document the Yosemite Valley 330, which is getting a desk and an O-scale model of the Yosemite Valley 330 installed today. This is the model that Jack Burgess built for Wes Swift and Claudia. They owned the 330. And so this is kind of the full circle moment of the model of the 330 being placed into the real 330. And so we're here to document that. I'm hoping that Jack will be here later to have something to say about it. And it'll basically complete a video that I've had on my archive really since I think last April or something like that, which was a model railroading with Jack Burgess episode about the YV330 model that he built for Wes. So that's what we're doing now. And then later on, Silicon Valley Lines has an open house that we're going to try to get to, and we'll probably have something from that as well. This is the desk that's going to be installed into the car. This is pretty exciting because this desk was, as you can tell, hopefully, hand-built custom to fit into a very specific place in the car. The only thing I'm worried about right now is it's pretty dark in there, which makes me wonder just how good the video is going to be. So this is a you never know who you'll run into. We have Chris, who's now a Chasing Trains superstar. We have Peter that you've seen really in a lot of different places. I think the last time was at Bay Area Prototype Modelers Meet where you had that stuff you 3D printed.
Oh yeah, that was it.
And we have the desk. And this is sort of the good thing about knowing people around places where you go. I saw Chris walking over there and went over to say hi. And Peter just came walking down over here. And it just so happens that Wes has this heavy desk that I showed you a minute ago that we need to put up in the car that I also showed you a minute ago. So Wes said, hey, since all these strong people are here, why don't you guys help us put it in? And so they got recruited. Look, Peter even he got his gloves on. He's really hardcore. I took my backpack off, and I think Chris is going to take pictures of us as we do it because he just has his camera on still. Okay, well, no one died, and we got it up there, so...
Well, you know what? You're going to have to send me these pictures so I can send one to Bernard.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we'll document this whole thing for Bernard, right?
Well, since Bernard actually interpreted the photo correctly and came up with the correct design for this, forever and more, this will be known as Bernard's desk.
Oh, Bernard's desk. So Bernard is the guy who helped build this desk at Wes's place.
Well, he made a minimal effort. He flew over from Holland, did a little woodworking, made some chips. Otherwise kind of annoying, but actually he's a darn good woodworker, so really happy to have him on the project.
So I've come all the way down to the other end of the car, and look at this entrance. I didn't realize they had put all this brass, I guess it's brass, trim on it. Boy, is that nice. Wow.
That's the quarter that's the eighth, okay?
Yep.
All right.
And the same on the other side.
So the desk fits on the vertical plane, I guess is what I'm going to call it. But there's still some finagling that has to happen on the left side there so that it'll go all the way under. And then the YV330 model, which Jack gave to Wes about 6 months ago or something like that, is going to go inside the top hutch.
All right. Thank you, Jackie.
This is largely what we came here for. Thanks for letting me know, Wes, when you were going to do this.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for lighting a fire under me to get this desk done.
Right. So the desk is in. You saw that. It took a lot of finagling, but testing and refitting and retesting and recutting. But now the important thing is we got the close for the Model Railroading with Jack Burgess video, which was having the 330 model come to its final place. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yep. It looks pretty darn nice in there, huh?
Yep. Now we have to go to the open house over at Silicon Valley Lines. Sorry, but you're going to have to do the rest of the work yourself today.
You dog.
This is at Silicon Valley Lines, and it's their open house today. We're going to go around and see what we find here. So this is one of those times where you never know who you'll run into, but you kind of have an idea you might run into him, because Murph actually was a member here at Silicon Valley Lines. You were the president.
I was way back when.
When I met him in 2015 or whatever, 10 years ago. So why don't you say something about Silicon Valley Lines and the open house? You're good at talking, since you talk trains all the time.
So yeah, today's Silicon Valley Lines open house. And one of the unique things about SVL is that when a kid walks into the layout room, they end up with a throttle. As a matter of fact, if James were to turn around right now, you'd see two kids. They both have throttles in their hands. They're running trains all around the layout. So they always have a great time. The hardest problem for parents is getting the kids to leave. So that's our selling point.
Yeah. And I think it's good also because you get the hook in, you know.
There we go. Well,
right.
You got to start kids playing with trains early, because that way they can be older kids playing with trains later.
You never have to grow up. You only have to get old.
That's right. Well, you can afford more trains.
I'm here with James and Dave. James is the current president at SVL, and Dave is the current vice president of SVL. And I wanted to get these guys' opinion, or get them to tell you, one, about the open house, and two, how people can get involved here to be members at SVL. So, James, you're good at that.
So, yeah, this is our open house. We have two of them a year, one in June and one in November. This is currently the November one.
Okay.
And one of the great things about this open house is you can come down and you can run trains. You don't have to be a member. And one of the cool things is if you bring your children in, you basically hand them a throttle and they'll be busy for hours, as you can hear them running through right now. They are currently running trains. But you can always go to our website, siliconvalleylines.com, and see our schedule. Sorry, they're running around and they're having a great time. But you can go to siliconvalleylines.com, see our schedule. The one for next year isn't up yet, but you can come down after 7:30 p.m. on a Friday evening and see our layout. And if you're interested, you can talk to us about membership. You can also go to our Contact Us section on the website, and there's a form to fill out, too, if you prefer to just get a hold of us first and then talk to us after. It's up to you.
So we're Silicon Valley Lines on Facebook, and we're www.siliconvalleylines.com.
I'm doing something today with Kevin. Thanks for having me over, Kevin.
Of course.
We're at Kevin's place today, and behind him, over his right shoulder, you can see his American Flyer setup. And this is on, what, a ping pong table?
It's on a ping pong table, that's right.
So we're going to do a layout tour of that. And Kevin does something with his American Flyer stuff that I thought was kind of cool. And it's a vast improvement over the way they come, at least in my opinion, as kind of a scale model fan, which is putting Blunami decoders into American Flyer stuff. So we're going to do a video about putting Blunami into American Flyer, and we're going to do a video about that layout behind Kevin. And then also, I brought over a model that we recently did a spotlight on. That was an S gauge or S scale model, depending what application you use it for. And he has one of the original ones that was made by S Helper. So we're going to kind of, for the podcast, look at them and see if we can detect any differences. So it's going to be a fun day of doing, I guess, toy train stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's the season for that. We're coming into the holidays here, so
yeah,
it's kind of toy train season.
Yeah, December podcast.
Yeah,
I think the toy train video of putting the Blunami in is going to be a model railroad or toy train 101 video, so it should be fun.
Yeah.
And before we go, though, because I'm going to turn this off in a second, but I want to ask you, and you can tell the people, the viewers, what made you decide to put a Blunami into a S-gauge engine?
Well, I'm going to say that, first of all, I only do it on the modern S-scale equipment. I don't do it on any of the old post-war stuff, because that's, historic and all that. So, but the new engines that you get in S-scale, they look really nice. But unfortunately, the electronics that they put into them just don't measure up to as nice as they look. So I thought that I would try to do something that improved on that. You can get locomotives from what we call Fly-N-L, which is the American Flyer by Lionel that's out now, that have some of the features that we would have with the Blunami. The only difference is if you buy an engine with that already in it from them, it's going to cost you anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500. Whereas I have a 484 that I put Blunami in here, all in with the cost of the engine and the decoder and everything, I'm at like $360. So,
wow. Money saving tips right here.
So it's after lunch now, and this is just an update. We're probably pretty close to halfway through with the DCC project of putting the decoder into this S-gauge or S-scale. I guess S-gauge, right? Because it's American Flyer.
It's S-scale high rail.
S-scale high rail. I've been corrected. Anyway, I think we're about halfway done. We're about to start wiring the decoder in. And so far, everything's going pretty well. I think I'm learning something. So this is pretty good. I think we just finished connecting up all of the light function wires and power and all that stuff. So in case you haven't done a DCC installation before, there's several steps to it. And probably the most tedious step is doing all the soldering, because you have to solder, like, depending what you're doing, 8 or 10 wires. And it's kind of a tedious process because you have to make sure you get the right wire to the right thing, because if you don't, it'll mess up the whole thing. So Kevin was over here soldering. He is very good soldering.
Ha! No, and, I'm not a professional solderer at all, but at least it works.
It works at the end. That's what matters the most. So we're about to test the locomotive and make sure all the connections are good.
Bench test.
Yeah. So that's the next step, and we're about to do that now. We just got the test done with the power on the track, and the lighting effects, I think Kevin did a really good job with on this locomotive. But we got the Blunami going. He customized some stuff. The sound is a little bit off. It needs to have the speaker sealed, I think, around the edges. So we're working on that now. And then once that's done, we're going to test it again, make sure the sound is working the way we want it to sound. And then it'll be on to the actual test on the rails. But yeah, so far so good, though. It's a good install, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's almost like you knew what you were doing.
Almost.
It's much later, and Kevin, it feels to me like we've been at this all day. Oh, look, we have.
Yeah, it's been over 12 hours now.
Oh, geez, don't remind me. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night either. So, yeah, I'm really feeling it. But the last thing I want to do is, you might remember recently I did a product spotlight on an S-gauge or S-scale Reefer that was from Scale Trains, which was some tooling they had bought from another company. And Kevin has the original tooling of that same model. And we were just looking at them side by side and saw some interesting differences. So why don't we take a look at that real quick? So the model I showed on the channel is this one in the front here. And the old one is obviously the other one. One main difference that I thought I had noticed immediately was I didn't think that these hatches open on the old one, but then we discovered that they do. But when you open the hatch on the old one, it doesn't go into the car. When you open the hatch on the new one, it goes into the car and it's actually, hollow in there. So that's one difference I noticed right away. And then as we're sitting here, you said something about the handbrakes that's different.
Yes.
Let's take them off the track and put the handbrakes and everything next to each other so that people can see that.
So what we see here is the S Helper car on the left and the Scale Trains car on the right. And what I noticed immediately, being that I work around prototype equipment all the time, and probably I'd be more likely to notice this, is that Scale Trains has set this car up to be a slightly earlier prototype because they actually have the staff type handbrake on here, whereas the S Helper car has the more modern Ajax handbrake that came about in the 30s. And the build dates on the cars reflect that. And the liveries are slightly different. This has the more modern Chief graphics on it, whereas this is just plain Santa Fe.
I thought I noticed that these grabs right here are longer, this way on this car compared to this one. And
I got out the calipers and we determined that they are just slightly.
Yeah, just slightly longer. And then something else I was just noticing is that the hatches on the car on the left are actually on like these little platform things. And this one, they're not like that. So, and I think that's probably a prototype difference. So I just want to be clear about something. I'm not comparing or saying one's better than the other.
No, we're just seeing what...
Yeah, we're just looking at it to see what the differences are because it's practically the same car.
I think they're both made from the same tool, but they add these different details.
That makes sense
when they're being finished.
Yeah. So I bet you anything, if we were to take these little platform things off, you'll see these. Well, maybe not, because that's attached. There's also a little end grab. Well, the little end grab's also down here. See this little end grab on the corner grab, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on this corner of this car.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're there.
Well, anyway, I just thought it would be interesting to look at these together. So I think that's going to do it for the podcast updates here today. I'll be back next time with more podcast updates. Thanks for having me over.
Of course.
And for, hosting what's going to be 2 probably really good videos. I'm going to really try to get at least one of them out in December, if not both, because they're toy trains and nothing says Christmas time like toy trains.
Exactly.
So anyway, that's it for now. We'll see you all on the next update. Thanks again, sir. We just finished our Talking Trains episode, and it was the second edition of what I'm going to refer to as Cab Chatter. That's where we have real railroaders come on and talk about real railroading. And Murph, I actually learned a lot about PTC because that was part of the whole process, was having a current engineer talk about PTC.
It was nice not hearing the assumptions that everybody makes about what PTC is and seeing the actual experience, because Sean, one of our guests, had brought pictures of PTC screens showing you the process he has to go through just to get logged in and run a train and that kind of thing. And it's like, there's a whole lot going on there.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated, I think, than it once was. And I'm going to look at it as the model equivalent is getting your throttle and acquiring your engine.
Yeah, with a lot more steps and a lot more paperwork and a lot more signing your life away. So there you go.
Anyway, so that was the Talking Train show this evening. You can see it on the replay if you missed us live. That's one that you'll probably want to watch.
Yeah.
We've stopped in briefly at the SBHRS today because someone here on the picture has to do some organization for an upcoming event on December 13th. What is it?
Christmas at the Depot. So we're planning to sort of partner with an event that Caltrain runs. It's a Christmas train. So we're going to have a little Christmas party here, kind of give back to our families that visit us all throughout the year. So we'll do some ornament making and hopefully some learning how to do switching on layouts, on a very simple layout, and just some other activities, choir, story time, that kind of stuff. So kind of a nice, calm, low-key event, hopefully, to enjoy the holidays.
Sounds family friendly.
It is.
And how do people learn more about this?
Look at our social media.
So on Facebook, go to SBHRS, and you'll find it somewhere there.
South Bay Historical Railroad Society, and we're on there, and there'll be information about the event. We're also a Toys for Tots official drop-off location, so any of our open times on Tuesday evening or Saturdays, people can drop off a new ungift-wrapped toy for ages newborn to 14.
And now for the catches of the month. Lucas Woodward sends in this video of Puffing Billy Locomotive 8A from Wednesday, November 12th, 2025, hauling a wood collection train from Belgrave to Gembrook. As it climbs Fielder Bank at sunset, the grade is 3.3% for 4 miles. Hard work for the engine and its crew. One difference compared to other NA class engines is that on the 8A, it has a tapered smokestack, which was fitted in 1923 as a test bed for more efficient use and cleaner steaming. It was so successful that every Victorian steam locomotive built after that time was fitted with the same system, nicknamed by crews as a basher front end. Mike Cohen caught Western Pacific GP7 number 707 as it was pulled out of the shop at the Western Pacific Railroad Museum in Portola, California after receiving its new injectors. It's been undergoing preparations for the first startup in 5 years. Ethan Doty caught 3 Union Pacific Heritage units in Portola during 2025. The Katy Heritage Unit number 1988 came through on May 13th. The Chicago and Northwestern Heritage Unit number 1995 came through on June 30th. And finally, the Western Pacific Heritage Unit number 1983 was on a train that came through on October 24th. Thanks for sharing. These are all really great catches. If you have a train or model catch you'd like to share, please email it to podcast@tsgmultimedia.com. Be sure you own the shots and include the what's, whens, and wheres of the shots you send in. Make sure to join us on December 17th for TSG Live Talking Trains, where Murph is going to demystify airbrushing. I don't currently own an airbrush, but something tells me I might want one after that show. Should be a real good one. Join us live if you can, or on the replay if you can't. If you enjoy what we do here, be sure to subscribe, share the videos with your friends, and comment as often as you can. These are the things that help others find us, and they're all free to do. Of course, if you can, you're always welcome to join the TSG train crew as well. Patreon.com/TSG Multimedia. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Happy holidays, no matter what you celebrate, or even if you don't. I'll see you all next year.
If you enjoyed this program, please join the TSG Train Crew on Patreon. TSG Train Crew members get behind-the-scenes access and ad-free sneak previews in 4K ultra-high definition. Go to patreon.com/TSG Multimedia for more information.